Alright guys, I just got back from BTC Prague and it was an absolutely awesome event. While I was there, I had a chance to interview Tomáš Sušánka, the CTO of Trezor. We talked about Trezor, the potential quantum threat, and also chatted a bit about Prague itself. But before we jump into the interview, quick reminder. If you're thinking about getting a Trezor hardware wallet, make sure to use my affiliate link in the description below. You'll get the best price currently available, and I'll receive a small commission from each sale. Thanks for supporting my channel. Tomáš, let's start with your background. How did you get involved with Trezor? What were you doing before your role as a CTO?
Thank you for having me. So, yeah, I've actually studied here in Prague. I did computer security and cryptography and all that. And after my school, after the university, I wanted to stay in the field, and I was, looking for a small-sized company doing security, cryptography, something in that area. And so I actually did a brief internship at Cloudflare, and then when I came back, I was looking for something like this. That's basically how I ended up at Trezor. I started as a programmer / cryptographer someday in that area, and then I basically went through the manager's way and ended up as CTO.
When did you learn about Bitcoin, like in general?
So it was actually at the university. I remember there was a professor that, he mentioned that he was clicking some ads on some website to earn some Bitcoins because it was, ages ago. Unfortunately, I was a poor student, so I didn't buy any, but it was, something around my time before Trezor. So I first knew Bitcoin, and of course in Trezor I got way deeper into it.
Let's talk about Trezor Safe 7. What makes it different from other hardware wallets?
So I think there's a number of things. So, first of all, we're really proud about how it looks and how it feels. It's really, I don't want to compare it to Apple because everybody tries to compare themselves to Apple, but I think the build quality is really awesome. It has a beautiful, colorful screen, that the others don't have. We have a dual secure element architecture, meaning we actually have 3 chips inside, where 2 of them are specially crafted for security, so to withstand physical attacks and all that. We also have some quantum protection, which we can dig deeper into it later on. And also, of course, it's wireless. It's our first wireless product, which we're pretty proud of because finally, you can use Trezor with an iPhone.
Let's start with the Tropic 1. Can you tell me a little more about it?
Sure.
Was it founded by Trezor? Is it like...
So it is basically, Tropic Square is a sister company. So it is not part of Trezor, but it's owned, the majority of Trezor is owned by our co-founders and the Tropic Square is owned by them as well. So we actually sit in the same building. So it's not owned by Trezor, but it's like a sister company, but they are completely independent. And the mission was to build, open and auditable secure element. So it was founded in 2020, I believe. And basically that was their mission. And I'm really, proud to say that the Tropic 01, that we were able to, make it for TS7 because for the Safe 7, because, those are 2 different timelines. So it was kind of challenging to make it on time on everything. And the main advantage of Tropic 01 is the openness. So, you can see the RTL code on GitHub, you can see the documentation on their website, no NDAs need to be signed, a lot of transparency, which is very disruptive in the hardware industry because that's just not the case for the other secure elements.
Now, since you mentioned quantum readiness, let's talk about quantum readiness. What is it? How does it work? It's not quantum proof, right? It's quantum ready. What does it mean?
So we were looking for, how to name it properly because these things are tough. So we cannot make Trezor completely quantum proof or quantum safe because Bitcoin and any other cryptocurrencies are not really ready on their side, right? So it doesn't really make sense to do it in Trezor because if there is someone with a quantum computer, they would attack the blockchain directly, right? They wouldn't attack your Trezor, they would attack the Bitcoin blockchain directly. So that's not something that we could do. But so we were brainstorming what we can do. And basically what Safe 7 has is this quantum ready, which means that we are actually signing the bootloader, which is tiny program inside, with those post-quantum algorithms. So if I simplify things, we can ship a firmware update to your Trezor, a software update to your Trezor in a way that, is not vulnerable to quantum computers. That's basically it.
Let's compare it to Trezor Safe 5, for instance, right? So Trezor Safe 5 cannot be like
Got it. So the difference is actually Safe 5, I believe we will be able to run those quantum safe algorithms there as well. But the difference is that this one is ready from the manufacturing. So already from the manufacturing, we have the public key baked in, and we can basically build the quantum protection from the ground up, right? So we can have like a full chain of these quantum protections, which we cannot do retroactively to Safe 5 because it was not ready during manufacturing.
Let's dive deeper into the quantum thing, the quantum field. In your subjective opinion, what should the community do with the Satoshi legacy coins?
Honestly, it's extremely difficult question. So I just had my keynote on that, and I mean, I would like to focus way more on introducing the post-quantum cryptography into Bitcoin. So people who want to, like users that wish to do so, can upgrade to post-quantum addresses, right? That's like the thing that I would focus on right now.
So you would not wait until something is hacked. You would do it right now.
I would do it right now because what we can do is we can, introduce those post-quantum addresses, and we can still spend using the old signatures, and we can just be ready, right? That's only, we don't need any hard forks. It's just a software thing. I think it makes really a lot of sense to do that first. Then what to do about the Satoshi's coins? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I cannot really imagine like freezing them. I know, that was one of the suggestions. To me, that is so anti-Bitcoin that I just cannot really imagine.
What about hourglass?
Maybe that's the way to go. But honestly, I don't know. Like, what I think is that first we really need great data to this, because the estimates are that somewhere between 6 and 7 millions of Bitcoins are vulnerable. But maybe half of that is just exchanges that are lazy to move their coins, right? So maybe if we're talking about just 2.5, by estimates, maybe it's a fair reward to those that make a quantum computer. Honestly, I don't know. It's really tough one. But I would postpone these discussions, and I would first focus on bringing the post-quantum addresses into Bitcoin.
What proposals do you like the most? Like we have BIP 360, BIP 361, shrinks, streams, some other...
Yeah, so BIP 360 is kind of non-controversial, I would say, because it's just Taproot with modified Taproot. So I'm up for that. 361, as mentioned, I would just leave it for later. I'm not very happy that the numbers are so close to each other, because 360 and 361 is, completely different things. And I actually do like the research from Blockstream, like on those streams and shrinks and all that. I think it makes a lot of sense. There is a lot of nuances that I'm not sure about, whether we want to have the stateful algorithms, whether we shouldn't simplify it. I don't know, but I would really focus to ship something, to have some kind of, maybe it's the SLHDSA or what Blockstream is doing, just to have at least something, and then we can, iterate some more.
Did you ever think about what could happen if Q-Day arrives much sooner than the community decides how to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I do, but at the same time, I don't really believe it is like, it's not going to happen next day. It's not happening this year. It's not going to happen in 5 years. So I do believe we have time. Honestly, if that would happen, I think, it would be really bad. Like it would, endanger those 7 million Bitcoins. It would be carnage. But, there's a lot of details in that. Like if hypothetically someone would be able to steal it, would they bump it on the market right away? Like, would they dump it there? Probably not, right? They will maybe do it potentially, like slowly. I don't know. I was asked an interesting question yesterday, whether if Satoshi's coins would move tomorrow, whether I would think that it's Satoshi or if it's a quantum computer.
So what did you answer?
I was just kind of baffled by the question, but it's a really good one. I would still lean to the Satoshi, probably, though how much unprobably it is, but it's an interesting thought experiment.
If you were to decide how to move forward, like what would be the next steps on how can we speed up consensus?
I really think we should focus on introducing post-quantum addresses into Bitcoin. So the research from Blockstream that we talked about, I think makes a lot of sense. So we can have modified Taproot, so BIP 360, and basically we can have one leaf that is spending through Schnorr and one leaf that is spending through whatever post-quantum algorithm we choose. I would go for the hash base for now, and we can do that as like checkpoint number one, right? That's pretty easy or straightforward. I focus on that. And after we have that, then let's talk about bringing more algorithms, whether we want to hash-based test or no, focus on that later on. So I really think what we should focus now on is the some kind of post-quantum addresses.
Let's talk about Trezor now.
Okay.
Are there any new products you're working on?
So, we don't usually comment much on that, but of course, we want to keep building great products. So the elephant in the room, or how to say it, is that Safe 7 is great and we're really extremely proud of, but it's our first wireless product and we need also, something entry-level wireless product, right? So I think that's going to be the next big thing for us. But at the same time, we want to do it right. So, there's a lot of development behind that.
Now let's talk about Prague. We're here at BTC Prague. Why is Prague often called the Bitcoin capital?
So yeah, a lot of companies have been born here, right? So the first ever mining pool has been born here. The first ever hardware wallet. There is a lot of mining stuff, a lot of lending stuff. There's really a lot of companies that were born here. So we're pretty proud about that. And of course, one of the biggest Bitcoin conferences, right? I can't forget about that.
Do you live in Prague?
Yeah.
If a person has just one day in Prague, what would you recommend to visit? Do you have any favorite spots in the city?
So, a lot of people go into the old town and, doing the usual tourist stuff, which I haven't been there for ages, actually. I usually, when I travel, I don't like the touristy places that much. I usually like food and just hang out. So
what's your favorite food spot?
So if you want to try, I'm not eating that much Czech cuisine, but if you want to try, there are this local chain, which is pretty decent. And they have this, dumplings with a beef and with a sauce, which is pretty, common, or fried cheese, which is very unhealthy, but for some reason, it is delicious. One of those things that we just do. So,
how to say Prague is the Bitcoin capital in Czech?
Praha je Mekkou Bitcoinu.
Awesome.
I'ma keep it a stack. People doubted my talent, really just wanted me to react. Persevere and say what I lack. Haters see you've got potential, then they've got something against you. Always having an opinion and hoping that it offends you. I just